Rising car insurance costs is still a huge pain point for a lot of people. So we decided to put together this video on tips and tricks to lower those premiums. So let's see what we got for you. We can cut that last part.
I'm curious what we have too. If you're new to the channel, I'm your bro Taylor.
And I'm your bro Ryan.
And diving right in, trying to help you guys understand just what we're talking about with these rising costs. The national average annual car insurance cost is nearly $2,300 for full coverage and just over $600 for minimum coverage. Now, these numbers can, of course, drastically change based on a number of factors, such as your age, just because younger drivers are more prone to accidents, they're a little bit more reckless. So, especially those under 25 will often pay higher premiums. Your location drastically changes things, as with any type of insurance. Your driving record, obviously, if you've been in a lot of accidents, your premiums go up. Things like the type of vehicle you drive, how much you use it, your mileage, what coverages you opt into, your credit score, of course, as it affects almost everything in personal finance. Your marital status actually comes into play, and they look at things like gender and your insurance history. So guys are just a little bit more prone to be a little more reckless, I guess.
Honestly, when putting together this video, there were a couple of surprises on what all affected your insurance premiums. I had no idea your credit score was that big a deal. I know it played a small role, but I didn't think it was that big a deal. Your marital status, I didn't know that was big a deal.
Yeah.
Your gender, I did know because as a male, my parents would tell me, "Oh my gosh, your premiums are way more than I thought."
Versus my sisters.
Right. So there are a few things I did know, but a lot of them I didn't know played a role that they picked based on just statistics saying, okay, males are more likely to have larger accidents, meaning they have higher repair costs, etc. So they play on that and they say, okay, they're going to need a higher premium. So it's pretty interesting, some of the things that go into that.
Yeah, I mean, if you're like a 22-year-old guy, insurance companies look at you like you're a criminal. They are going to charge you a good bit of money. And if you have a single infraction, those premiums skyrocket.
Absolutely. Now looking in the future, Insurify projects that car insurance costs will increase by another 5% roughly in 2025, bringing the average annual full coverage to over $2,400. Now, why is this happening? Honestly, one of the biggest reasons is supply shortage. So not only is it now more costly to make newer cars and to ship those new cars, but also old existing cars, it's become harder to find those parts. So for example, my car is a lower entry cost to purchase as a Hyundai, but I hope I said that right. But the parts have gotten harder to find and they're just very expensive, which I didn't expect or know going into it. So I just got hit with a massive bill recently, just thinking that initial cost was lower. So probably the parts and repair will be lower and cheaper too as a whole. But they were telling me at the shop that supply chain, unless I got yoked around and they totally got me, that supply chain cost has made it harder to get those parts and has made it much, much more expensive to repair those simple cars.
Yeah, it's just about easier to sell my car, my Kia, for parts than it is the actual car. I'd probably get more money out of it. Now, how do we combat this and lower those premiums? Well, the most obvious one that you see for almost any type of insurance or a lot of costs in life is just shopping around. If you go to one company versus the next, it could be $100 swing per month. So obviously that builds up over time. There are companies that shop around for you, or you can just simply do it yourself. There are a lot of ways to find what the best premium out there is. On top of that, like other insurances as well, simply increasing your deductible will lower your premium just because your out-of-pocket cost increases, so they have to cover you less, so they charge you less. Then I'm sure we've all seen those commercials about bundling. There's one company that comes to mind, but bundling things like home and auto or boat and auto and all this stuff, those can offer you savings at times. Now, of course, if you don't have a boat, you don't have a house or anything to bundle with, then maybe this one doesn't really apply to you, but it is out there. On top of that, taking a defensive driving course or a lot of driving classes can oftentimes lower your insurance. I had to do this myself. Now, it was just a little bit of speeding and everything, but it was a little court mandated class, but it did help combat my premiums that suddenly went up, came back down a little bit because I took a couple courses. That also helped get some points off my record, which I think played a role. But nothing crazy. I mean, it's one of those speed traps. It was one of those cases, guys, where they suddenly lowered the speed limit, and it's one of those roads you're like, why is it a 45 right here? It should definitely be a 65. But
now in this case, it's a little bit different because it was less of getting a discount and more of keeping insurance.
Yeah. It lowered the premiums regardless.
And honestly, one of the biggest factors that's going to change your premium is going to be looking for discounts. For the most part, all different insurance companies offer generally the same discounts. So some of the discounts you can look for are going to be a good driver discount. If you don't have any accidents or tickets for multiple years, multiple car discounts. So you, your wife, maybe your kids have your car, you can put it all in one account. They'll give you a discount for that. Having advanced safety and anti-theft features, obviously that helps because there's less of a likelihood there's an accident, so less of a likelihood they have to pay out. I used to get this discount for being a good student, which was really cool. And my mom was a teacher, and she also got a discount. So that was pretty neat. Being active, retired, or reserve member of the military, you can get a discount. There are different safe driver programs where basically you can put a little tracker in your car and it just says how fast you brake, how fast you accelerate, do you speed often, and those can often help track for different, so you can get the good driver and you can also get multiple discounts as well for being like a safe driver, other things like that. I've gotten a couple of those myself.
Yeah, heads up with that though. Sometimes mine beeps. I'm like, they cut me off. That was not my fault. That was not me.
Mine does not beep. That's interesting.
Yeah, mine beeps. I've only noticed it when I suddenly stop. Maybe that's just coincidence. I don't know, but it seems to coincide with sudden stops.
We should check our scores, compare.
Yeah, I'm probably paying more than I would have without it.
Also, there's like a low mileage or usage. If you drive your car less than 7,500 miles a year, usually they'll give you a pretty good discount for that because there's less likelihood you'll get into an accident. And honestly, there's just many, many more discounts. They have discounts for all different types of situations. So just look at the website, call your agent, any different thing you can just to see what discounts you apply to. I usually do this once a year just to check. Hey, I just want to see, I still have the same cars, but is there anything new that's come on? Is there anything we can change? Anything I could add to it to make it a little bit cheaper overall? Yada, yada, yada. Again, the bundling is something I'm looking into now for something else. So just different things you can talk to your agent about, find the best strategy and deal for you.
Yeah, and kind of piggybacking off what Ryan just said about these low mileage programs and kind of asking what you can change, just good general credit practices are also beneficial. I mean, credit score seems to infiltrate life everywhere, and this is no exception. Also, if you're able to pay your premium in full, I know not everyone can do that, but if you can, oftentimes they'll give you a discount for that. So that's just something you can consider if that is an option for you.
Especially in states where it's very cheap to have insurance. Not many of them left, but some states it is very reasonable to have auto insurance or home insurance or whatever. And if you can pay it all up front, usually it'll give you a, say, 5 to 7 to 10% discount on that, which is huge savings.
Yeah. So again, super quick recap. There's a lot of things that go into what makes your premium that cost. And we went over a lot of the ways to combat that. Just good general driving practices, of course. There's unique little programs, little things you can sign up for. You know, your circumstance versus, you know, someone in your family or your friend are completely different just because you'll have different driving records, different company, probably a different car likely. So there's all these things that kind of play in, but you should look into it because the savings over time, while you may not be like, oh, you know, $20 a month, is that really a big deal? You've probably had your car for a good long while. I've had my car for a long time. So, I mean, those savings over time, they add up. So that's just something to keep in mind. As always, if you have any other tips or advice for people, please leave them down in the comments below. If you got anything out of this, please leave it down in the comments below. We love hearing from you guys. Be sure to like and subscribe. If you enjoyed this video or think it'd be good for one of your friends, you know, maybe they're not the best driver or anything, you send this their way like, hey, you know, you could save some money if you were a little bit better driver. A little subtle hint there. Be sure to do that. We love hearing from you guys. So be sure to tune in next week for our upcoming video.
Stop wasting money on that dumb shit and instead put it in investment. I know it's tempting, you'll spend it and be broke again.